This new AI image generator just came out of nowhere and beat everything. And this is not a hyperbole. So if you look at this leaderboard, this new generator called Reve is now number 1. So it beats the previous leading image generators like Recraft, Imagen, and Flux 1.1. So in today's video, I'm going to go over how to use it and test it on a series of really tricky prompts to see if it's indeed as good as people claim. Let's jump right in. So this is an online platform. You can access it via reve.art, which I'll link to in the description below. You just need to sign up for a free account. So you can either sign up with these methods, and once you sign up, if you click on account, you do get 100 credits to start, and one image costs 1 credit. So basically you get 100 free images. And you do need to top up in order to generate more images once you run out of credits. Now let's go ahead and start creating some images. Now note that for most image generators, they can already generate basic stuff like portrait photos or photos of people doing normal stuff like walking or standing or posing. So in this video, I'm really trying to push its limits and test it on a series of really tricky prompts. I'm also going to compare these prompts with the other top 3 image generators out there, Recraft, Imagen, and Flux 1.1. Alright, so it's really straightforward to use. Here is where you would paste in a prompt. You can also upload an image and edit images, which I'll show you in a second. Anyways, for our first prompt, we are going to prompt it with a woman doing a yoga king pigeon pose. For the aspect ratio, I'm going to select 1:1, and then I'm going to leave this enhance on, so this basically adds more details to your prompt to improve the image quality. And then here is where you would set the seed, because all generation starts with an image of latent noise, which looks like this, and there could be almost an infinite combination of, this random noise. Well, each configuration is a seed number. So basically, if you set all the settings the same and you choose the same seed, you're going to get the exact same image the next time. Anyways, for most cases, the seed doesn't really matter, so I'm just going to leave this at auto, which is going to give me a random seed number. Anyways, let's click generate and see what that gives us. Alright, so notice that for each generation, it gives us 4 images, so it does use 4 credits per generation. And here we go. Holy smokes! For your reference, a king pigeon yoga pose looks like this. It's a super tricky pose that even the top image generators cannot get correct. But as you can see here, for 2 out of the 4 generations, it actually gets it correct. And I would say this one is kind of half correct too. Really impressive. So I'm going to pick the best of these 4 generations. I think this one looks slightly better, so I'm going to click on this and then click this to download. Now, like I said, I'm also going to compare the same prompt with the top 3 image generators out there, Recraft version 3, Google's Imagen 3 version 2, and Flux 1.1 Pro. So for your reference, here is a woman doing a yoga king pigeon pose. Notice that Reve was kind of the only one that got it correct. And note that for each image generator, I picked the best of 4 generations. Note that for Imagen 3, it came close, but you have to have both arms above your head and then holding the foot. Whereas for this woman, one arm is touching the ground. And then Recraft also came close, but her leg is not supposed to be extended out like this. And then for Flux 1.1 Pro, this is not even close to a yoga king pigeon pose. So indeed, I would say the winner here is Reve. Also note that the generations are 1024 by 1024. Alright, next up, I'm going to test this prompt. A hand holding a pen and writing in a diary. On the page, there is handwritten text that says, "This is quite a long piece of text, much longer than what typical AI image models could generate accurately. This is a test to see if all the text will show up correctly here. Also, remember to subscribe to my channel." Let's click generate and see if it can pull this off. Alright, so here's what we get. Here's the first one. This does say this is quite a long piece of text, much longer than what typical AI image models could generate accurately. This is a test to see if all the text with the text will show up correctly here. Also, remember to subscribe to my channel. Really good. All of this text is actually correct, although this part here wasn't really specified in the prompt. I believe the prompt is just, this is a test to see if all the text will show up correctly. So it added some extra words here for some reason. Nevertheless, this is still super impressive. Now, if you look at the second generation, this is kind of gibberish. And then for this one, I would say like half the text is okay, but again, not too good. This one starts off okay, and then it's kind of gibberish. So obviously, I'm going to pick this one. And here's the same prompt with the other 3 top image generators. So you can see none of them could actually get all the text correct. So Imagen 3 starts off okay, and then it starts turning into gibberish. And then Recraft is actually pretty good. However, there are some typos throughout the text, plus this does not look like handwritten text. So I gotta take some points off for that. And then for Flux 1.1 Pro, even though this is currently the best version of Flux, it just cannot output so much text at once. So this is complete gibberish. So again, I would have to give the point to Reve. Alright, next up, let's try this prompt. Photo of a man giving a TED Talk. Behind him is a big neon sign with the text, TEDx AI search. Spotlight style lighting, soft shadows, sharp focus, shallow depth of field. Again, I'm going to leave all the settings the same and click generate. And all of these are really good. It indeed shows the actual TEDx logo in a neon sign. Plus there is spotlight style lighting and a shallow depth of field. So the background is a bit blurrier. It's hard to pick a winning image here. Let's just go with this one. I think the sign looks the best in this example. And then for your reference, here's the same prompt with the other top 3 image models. Note that all of them are great at generating a man talking on stage. However, for the sign, if I had to pick a winner, Reve's sign of TEDx AI search does look the best, and it looks the most correct to me. So again, I would have to give the point to Reve, but let me know in the comments what you think. Alright, for the next prompt, let's try this. I'm going to test its ability to generate existing people. So here's the prompt. Albert Einstein, Marilyn Monroe, and Will Smith having dinner. And because, Will Smith is there, we got to have lots of spaghetti on the table. Let's click generate and see what that gives us. Holy smokes, this is crazy! Look at how accurate all 3 of these characters look. This indeed looks like Einstein, this looks like Marilyn Monroe, and this is the most accurate looking Will Smith generator I've come across. And they are all happily eating spaghetti. Here's another example. Again, all 3 characters just look super accurate. And then here's another example. And here's the 4th generation. This looks so good. But wait a minute, is she eating pasta with chopsticks? I guess this is a flaw here. But anyways, all 4 generations look really good, and as you can see here, it has no problem generating existing people or characters. And for your comparison, here is the same prompt with the other top 3 image generators. Surprisingly, Google's Imagen 3 can also generate existing people some of the time. However, note that the censorship is super high. So using this prompt, I only got 1 out of 4 generations that actually work. For the other 3, it was just blocked due to their content policies. But nevertheless, Imagen 3's example actually looks insanely good. And then we have Recraft over here. What the hell happened to Einstein? Anyways, this is definitely not correct. And then for Flux 1.1 Pro, Marilyn Monroe doesn't really look correct. Plus, Will Smith is not here. I guess he's really sick of spaghetti now and decided not to join. So for this prompt, it's a pretty tough call. I would say it's a tie between Reve and Imagen 3. Alright, next up, let's try a super tricky prompt in a different style. So the style is going to be an isometric 3D scene. And this is going to be of a bedroom, so there's going to be a man sitting on a red chair at a wooden desk, working on a laptop. There's a white empty bookshelf. A pet cat is curled up on a gray bed with white pillows. Beside the bed is a nightstand with a lamp and alarm clock. The wall is teal. There is a window with white curtains. There are also some houseplants. There's an acoustic guitar hanging on the wall. So a super detailed prompt with a lot of different colors and objects in this scene. I'm going to turn enhance off now because I don't really want an AI to add even more to this prompt. Like, this is already super detailed. So let's click generate and see what that gives us. Not bad. So out of the 4 generations, it seems like this one is the only accurate one. So for example, here I did specify a red chair, so this is not correct. For this one, I only specified a man. It added a woman here for some reason. Plus the cat is not really sleeping, so this is not correct. And here it does have a red chair, but I did specify an empty bookshelf. Plus the cat doesn't really look like a cat, and it's not sleeping. So I would say this one looks the most accurate to me. So there is an acoustic guitar hanging on the wall. The wall is teal. There is a window with white curtains. The bookshelf is empty. The dude is sitting on a red chair and working on a wooden table with a laptop. There is a cat. The bed is gray with white pillows. There is a lamp, and this might be an alarm clock, I guess. So not 100% perfect, but it's pretty close. Alright, and here's the same prompt with the other top image generators for your reference. Google's Imagen 3 is actually pretty good. It was able to generate the man on this red chair working on a laptop, plus this nightstand with a lamp and an alarm clock, plus this cat here, plus an acoustic guitar hanging on the wall. The only flaw in this image is there is no empty bookshelf, which I specified in the prompt. And then for Recraft, unfortunately this isn't really a 3D scene, plus there are a lot of artifacts here. For example, this does not look like an acoustic guitar, it's way too thin. It's also missing an empty bookshelf. I have no idea what this is. Plus, the cat kind of looks like bird poop. And then for Flux 1.1 Pro, again, the cat doesn't really look accurate, and it's missing an empty bookshelf. Plus, this guitar also looks horrible. So I would say in terms of prompt adherence, Reve is indeed number one in this example, although Google's Imagen 3 is a close second. But let me know in the comments what you think. Again, I would have to give the point to Reve. Alright, so the next prompt I'm going to test out is this pixel art style. So it's going to be a pixel art of a wizard casting a spell in a magical forest. Let's see if it can pull this off. And here are the 4 images. And for all of them, this indeed looks like pixel art. Not bad. Again, it's hard to pick a winner here. All 4 of them look pretty good. Let's go with this one. And for your reference, here's the same prompt with the other top 3 image generators. And honestly, all 4 of them look perfect to me. They do look like pixel art, so I don't think there's a clear winner here. Let me know in the comments which one you prefer. Alright, next I want to test its ability to generate some low quality amateur photos. So here the prompt is a teenage woman holding a handwritten note that says verify me 3/24/2024. Low quality selfie photo. Let's click generate and see if it can pull this off. Interesting. So here the text is not as good as the diary example I showed you before. So here it's missing a slash, plus this looks way too professional. This is not a low quality photo. This one actually looks really good. The note is handwritten, her fingers look perfect, and this looks really low quality. And then here this one is not bad, but again the background is way too blurry and this looks more like a professional photo. This one is also not bad, but the slash here is kind of in the wrong direction. So out of these 4 examples, I would have to pick this one. And for your reference, here's the other 3 image generators with the same prompt. Notice that for Google's Imagen 3, the censorship is super strict, so there's no way in hell it's going to generate any photo of a teenage woman. But for Recraft, this also looks pretty good and low quality. And then Flux Pro, this is also not bad, but her face does look a bit plasticky. So this is a close call, but I would say it's a tie between Reve and Recraft. Both of these look like realistic, amateur, low-quality photos. Alright, next up, I want to test its ability to really generate realistic hands and fingers, which still some of the top image generators cannot do well, especially for tricky shapes and poses like this. So here the prompt is 5 hands forming a star shape. Let's see if it can pull this off. Let me tell you about this awesome tool called ChatLLM by our sponsor Abacus AI. This allows you to use the best AI models out there all in one integrated platform. This includes the latest Claude 3.7, O3 Mini High, as well as DeepSeek R1. Plus, they have a new Route LLM feature, which automatically picks the best LLM to use based on your prompt. You can also generate images right from the chatbot, and they're using the best generator out there, Flux Pro. Plus, you can even generate videos with a single prompt. Plus, it has a really cool artifacts feature, so if you're coding or building something with it, it allows you to view and interact with the app side by side. They also have a new coding tool called CodeLLM. This works exactly like VS Code, but it's supercharged with AI. You can chat with an AI on the side to help you generate or edit code, or you can even press tab to autocomplete code. This allows you to code way faster. They also have a new feature called AI Engineer, which allows you to create your own custom chatbot fine-tuned on your own custom data or instructions. This is a really powerful way for you to use the best AI models out there all in one platform. Try it out via the link in the description below. And here we go. So this is kind of weird, I must say. Let's go over each one. So here is not 5 hands, here are 6 hands. Plus, they're not really using the fingers that I was expecting, right? To generate a star shape, I was expecting something like this, where you would use your index and middle finger. So this is weird. And then this one is using the correct fingers that I was envisioning, but there's an extra hand. I specified 5 hands, but there are now 6 hands. However, note that for the most part, the hands and fingers do look accurate, except for maybe over here. But the rest of them actually look correct. And then here again, this is what I was envisioning, but there's an extra hand. I only specified 5 hands. Note that while some hands, like this one and this one, do look accurate, some of the other fingers are kind of messed up, like over here and over here. So not a perfect example. And then here, finally, we have 5 hands, but it's using some really weird finger combinations. So this hand decided to use a thumb and the index finger. This one has 6 fingers, and then it looks like this one might have 6 fingers as well. Anyways, it's just weird. So finally, this is a prompt that really trips it up. In terms of the quality, let's go with this one. I think this one does look the best. And for your reference, here is the same prompt with the other top image generators, and as you can see, none of them even come close. So Google's Imagen just could not generate, the shape like this with hands using the index and middle fingers. And then Recraft just cheated by adding a star shape here, so it's not really 5 hands making a star shape. And then Flux 1.1 Pro, even for 4 generations, it just gave me this. So I would say even though Reve's generation is not perfect, at least out of these 4, the point still goes to Reve. Now besides hands and fingers, I also want to test its ability to generate feet because, well, feet is also a really tricky part of the human body that most image generators cannot generate well. So let's try this. For the prompt, I'm going to write a woman showing her palms and soles of feet at the same time. And even the best ones could not really get this photo completely correct. Let's see if it can pull it off. And this is super impressive. Finally, we have an image generator that can show both palms and soles of feet at the same time. Now, there are some flaws here. This was the pose that I was expecting, although I wish she could take her shoes off. But here's an example where, the woman is showing both hands and soles of feet, and these look accurate to me. There are 5 fingers on each hand and 5 toes on each foot. Same with this one. This also looks perfect to me. Now for the last one, her feet are kind of disconnected from everything, so this doesn't really look accurate, whereas, for here, it does look like she's lifting up her feet, right? The black part is her pants, whereas the feet over here just seem like it's floating from nowhere. So let's go with this one. And here's the other top 3 image generators with the same prompt. So even for Google's Imagen 3, it can't really handle this. The feet are just kind of floating out of nowhere, plus this one is missing a toe. Now for Recraft, this is actually really good. This is the pose I was expecting where the woman is sitting on the ground and showing her palms and feet like this. So this is a really good generation by Recraft. And then for Flux 1.1 Pro, even out of 4 generations, it just could not get this prompt correct. So, it's a close call. I would say here it's a tie between Reve and Recraft. It's just a different perspective. So for Reve, it looks like this woman is lying on the floor and the camera is shot from above. Whereas for Recraft, this woman is sitting down and the camera is shot from the ground. But both of them look really good and they do follow the prompt. Alright, next let's test its ability to generate anime. So the prompt is anime style, a girl in the city at night. Let's click generate and see if it can handle anime. And here we go. For all 4 examples, it looks amazing. So here indeed we have an anime girl in the city at night. Here's another example. This does have some Flux vibes to it, so I wonder if they based their training data on Flux generations. Here's another example, and here's the final example. I'm trying to pick between these two, but this one shows a clearer image of her face, so let's go with this one. So here are the 4 image generators side by side with the same prompt. For Google's Imagen 3, it's actually surprisingly good. I really like the style of this. It does look like a scene from an anime show or movie, whereas this is more like a digital art illustration. And then Flux is also not bad. Flux does have a very characteristic anime style like this. And then Recraft, it just cannot generate anime. So I would say in this test, it would be a tie between Reve, Imagen, and Flux. All 3 of them can generate good-looking anime. Alright, let's test out another style. So I want to see if it can generate a watercolor painting. So the prompt is a watercolor painting of a deer in the forest. Let's click generate and see what that gives us. And here we go. This looks really good for the most part. This indeed looks like a watercolor painting. For this one, the sunshine over here does not look like watercolors, so I would have to deduct some points for that. This one again looks like watercolor. And then finally, this one is also really good. It's hard to pick a winner here, but let's go with this first one. And then here are the 4 image generators side by side. I would say Flux looks the worst. This doesn't really look completely watercolor, especially the deer here. Some parts of it do look like oil painting instead. I think Imagen 3 looks the best. Like even the deer looks like mostly watercolor. And then Recraft is also not bad. So again, hard to pick a winner here between Reve, Imagen, and Recraft, but in terms of aesthetics and having the best watercolor look, I would have to give the point to Imagen 3. Now, speaking of animals, I also want to test its ability to generate uncommon species. So this is a prompt that most image generators cannot get correct. A Komodo dragon in the forest, its tongue extended, and it appears to be alert and in motion. So the top image generators can definitely generate common animals like cats, dogs, and rabbits, and some birds, but if you want to get it to generate an uncommon species like a Komodo dragon, then most generators kind of fail to do so. Let's see if Reve can handle this. By the way, for your reference, a Komodo dragon looks like this in real life. And oh my gosh, I am so impressed by Reve. All 4 of these images look exactly like a Komodo dragon in real life. This is so good. Holy smokes, it's really hard to pick a winner here, but let's go with the first one. Reve absolutely nailed this prompt. Now, Google's Imagen 3 is actually not too bad. It can also generate quite a good-looking Komodo dragon, although I would say it's not as accurate as Reve. This looks like a mix between a Komodo dragon and just a regular monitor lizard. And then for Recraft, it also kind of tries to generate a Komodo dragon, but its face is not really as realistic. And then Flux Pro just could not generate a Komodo dragon. It has no idea what a Komodo dragon even is, so it just generates a made-up dragon-like creature. So again, I would have to give the point to Reve. Alright, finally, I also want to test out its ability to generate UI/UX designs. So here the prompt is a modern web app user interface design for a fitness tracking application. Let's click generate and see what that gives us. And here we go. All of these look really good. So here is an example of some user interface. Now, of course, we can't actually make out the text here. It's just gibberish. This is a problem with all the existing image generators I've seen so far. It can't create a UI/UX design with correct text. But here's another example of a fitness app. By the way, this one looks more like Tinder, where you can like swipe left or right. Here's another example where it gives us the mobile interface as well as the desktop design. And then here's another example. Really hard to pick a winner here, but let's go with this one. So for your reference, here's the same prompt with all 4 image generators. You can see that none of them are perfect. I do like the designs of Imagen 3 and Recraft the most, but it's hard to pick a winner here. Anyways, that sums up my test of this new Reve image generator. There is an option for you to upload an image here, and this is kind of like image to image, but you can't really do a lot with it. So for example, let's try this. I'm going to upload this image, and as soon as I upload it, I can't even enhance the prompt or click on any of the options. It just automatically starts generating 4 additional photos based on that image. So it gives me minimal control, and here are the 4 images. So it's basically creating 4 new images based on a reference image, but you can't adjust the similarity or anything like that. I'm hoping they will add more image-to-image capabilities in the future. And then you can also click on one of these images. So let's go with this one, for example. And here you can edit the prompt further, or you can click on this Instruct tab to kind of edit the image, but it doesn't really keep the original image intact. So for example, let's tell it to add people sitting in the chairs in the background. Let's click Generate and see what that gives us. So you can see it's not really the same image as our input image. It's changing the face, so you can't really use this as an image editor yet. By the way, if you want to edit images like this, definitely check out my other video on Google's new Gemini model, which allows you to do image editing. So you can do some crazy stuff like add a crowd to the background, or blur the background and remove people from the scene, or even colorize black and white photos, and then change it from day to night. Anyways, back to Reve, it currently does not have those image editing capabilities. And while we are on the topic of limitations, here's the thing. Currently, there's not a lot of information about Reve. We're not sure if they will open source this or not. For now, we can only access it via this online platform, so it is closed source for now. Also note that you can't really change the resolution. So all these images that I've generated before are 1024 by 1024. There's no option for you to upscale these images or add more details to existing images. And because this might be closed source, that's a huge limitation. That means you can't fine-tune the model and create custom checkpoints or lures like you would for Flux or Stable Diffusion. Because these are open source, users can create more fine-tuned models. For example, you can generate these Gundam outfits for your characters, or generate this Chinese art style, or you can also generate cyberpunk anime style, or you can add different characters in your images. Whereas if it's closed source like with Reve or Recraft, you can't really do that. Anyways, they've just released this, I believe, yesterday, so hopefully they will add more capabilities to this. For now, it's free to sign up, and you do get some free credits that are worth around 100 generations, so definitely take advantage of this free offer. And that sums up my review on Reve. Let me know in the comments what you think of this. If you've had a chance to play around with it, what other cool generations were you able to come up with? As always, I will be on the lookout for the top AI news and tools to share with you. So if you enjoyed this video, remember to like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content. Also, there's just so much happening in the world of AI every week. I can't possibly cover everything on my YouTube channel. So to really stay up to date with all that's going on in AI, be sure to subscribe to my free weekly newsletter. The link to that will be in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.